What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Omar back again, continuing my MLB preview series, and today we are going to cover the most riveting division in all of baseball, the AL Central. And if you're a baseball fan, you know anything about baseball, you know right off the bat that the AL Central is not riveting. In fact, it's probably the worst division in baseball. But there is some questions as to what's going to happen at the bottom of the division. The top of the division is pretty set. But let's get right into it with the bottom of the division. Fifth place, I have the Detroit Tigers. Now, I don't expect Miguel Cabrera to be as bad as last year. Obviously, there's regression there. He's getting older. He's a top player of the generation and is going to be a Hall of Famer. But age happens. Father time is undefeated, as Stephen A. Smith says. And with Miguel Cabrera, sadly, we're starting to see that. We're starting to see that he doesn't have that same bat speed, doesn't have the same hitting ability, and can't move around very well. But it's not Miguel that's going to doom this team. Losing Ian Kinsler is an underrated loss, but a loss nonetheless. You lose your leadoff hitter who knows how to get on base. They don't have much in the way of pitching. I mean, Jordan Zimmerman's going to be their opening day starter, so that pretty much tells you about their rotation right there. This is not a good team. And like I said, there's a lot of teams in this division that are not good. In fact, the AL Central has the three teams who are projected to finish lowest in the American League. But I think the Tigers are just going to be the worst. I think that they don't have much consistency. You hope for their sake that they can win 62 games or 63 and not lose 100 games, but that might not happen. At number 4, I have the Chicago White Sox checking in, and I have a lot of hope for the White Sox. Obviously, Yoan Moncada, their top prospect, comes up last year, doesn't really do much. You're hoping for more if you're a White Sox fan or the White Sox organization. You want to see more out of Moncada. Doesn't happen. But it doesn't mean that his career is over by any means. A lot of times people jump to conclusions with players. I know personally as a Met fan, when Ahmed Rosario came up last year, he had a little bit of issues with plate discipline, and he wasn't the player that a lot of people thought he was going to be right off the bat. And everybody's, a lot of people were quick to just dismiss him. He's a bust. These players are super young. They're around my age. They still have a lot of time to get better. When Jose Reyes first came up as a New York Met, the guy had no plate discipline to be spoken of. He was terrible in terms of swinging at bad pitches. And then he won a batting title a few years later. So these things change. With Moncada, I still have faith. Obviously, guys like Michael Kopech and Eloy Jimenez are in their system as well. But I still think they're probably a year or two away. I still think that when you look at the team, it's a little young to be very good this year. At number 3, I have the Kansas City Royals, and let's just call it what it is. The Royals would finish 5th, dead last in a lot of divisions in the major leagues, but not this one because it's so bad. I think they finished 3rd. You get a guy like Moustakas back at the last second. I'm not a big Mike Moustakas fan, but I mean the numbers bear it out. He's going to hit some home runs. He's going to provide good leadership. They have decent pitching, I mean, Danny Duffy's their opening day starter. He's on and off depending on injuries. Of course, they have still Salvador Perez. So they have a few things to go off of. Whit Merrifield, of course, is a guy that really burst onto the scene last year as a speed threat. But this is not a good team. Don't be fooled by their ranking of 3rd in the AL Central in my picks. It's not a good baseball team. They don't have nearly the team they used to have. Of course, Hosmer and Lorenzo Cain are the 2 big pieces that leave them in the offseason. And they're going to have to continue to or start a new rebuild. Although with this team, they won a World Series, so you can't ask for much more than that. At number 2, I think this is the most consensus picks, the 2 and 1. Number 2, I have the Twins. Again, I'm not too high on the Twins, but because of their division, I have them finishing 2nd. And I was listening to a podcast called Effectively Wild. It's a Fangraphs podcast. If you don't listen to it, you're a big baseball fan, you should go listen to it. It's very entertaining. But they were talking about how the Twins actually might have a good chance of getting another wild card spot this year based solely on their division and how bad it is. And I thought that was an interesting point because to me, when I look at the Twins, on the surface, they're not a wild card team to me. I think that they did a little bit of overperforming last year, and I just think that they're not a really young team in terms of their best players. I know Miguel Sano is going through a lot of stuff right now with the whole sexual assault case, so that's going to mess him up mentally. Brian Dozier's not young, Irvin Santana, guys like that, Lance Lynn, who they just signed. But because they get to play 57 games against the Royals, Tigers, and White Sox, that could really help them get a nice solid record and maybe get into the playoffs for a second straight year. But I don't think the Twins have any chance at running at this division. I think they're right around like an 84 and 78 ball club that's going to play decent baseball. Definitely a lot better than these bottom three teams, but not good enough to really make a name for themselves. And at number one, I think it's pretty much a consensus. I have the Cleveland Indians winning the AL Central this year once again. By far the best roster in this division. The pitching is great with Kluber, with Andrew Miller in the bullpen, Cody Allen. You have Carlos Carrasco, Trevor Bauer, who I'm not a big fan of, but he's a decent pitcher. Then in the offensive side of things, Evan Encarnacion maybe finds his footing a little bit in his second year in Cleveland. Of course, you have superstar shortstop Francisco Lindor. You have Jose Ramirez, who was an MVP candidate last year. Maybe they get something out of Michael Brantley. Maybe they don't. But if they don't, I think they're still fine. This is a team that should win this division pretty easily. And I think a team that could end up with a very solid record because of their division. Once again, they're playing about half their schedule against the rest of their division. So they should be able to beat up on these teams and finish the year close to 100 wins, if not with 100 wins. So I'm going with the Cleveland Indians to win the division. Then I have the Twins, the Royals, the White Sox, and the Tigers. That's my AL Central. I hope you guys, maybe some of you are Tigers fans and you're pissed. Maybe some of you are Indians fans, just reaffirming yourselves that you're the favorite to win the division this year. If you like my videos, go check out some of my other videos. Just a couple days ago, I did an AL East preview with my boy Andrew. And I'm going to continue to bring these videos out as we get closer and closer to the MLB season. Just 1 week away as of today. I am so excited. Actually, currently, it is 1:22 p.m. on the East Coast, which means at 1:22 p.m. next week, this very time, I will be watching the first Mets game of the year. So, hope you guys all enjoyed. Leave a comment. Tell me where I was right, where I was wrong. See you guys next time.